Hey everybody, it is Wes with Pikes Peak Trades, back with a video update for you at the culmination of trading here on Wednesday, excuse me, December 15th, and just an incredibly exciting post Fed minutes release. The market, I think, got what it expected, that the pricing in of an accelerated taper program, 2 to 3 rate hikes in 2022 at least wasn't surprising to the market. And typically, when the market is not surprised, when it was counting on this, then we saw just a massive rally combination, I think, of short covering and what we're kind of left to discern was there real institutional money, big money that was now put behind the market. We're not out of the woods yet if you're talking from the bullish perspective, because price just moved on both SPX and QQQ just right back to its previous supply level that had been rejected once in early November, again in around the Thanksgiving time, and then again just recently here this week in December. So what the bulls can do from here is now key to separating whether we have a third leg up, which would be a powerful bullish move here under the black count, or if the rejection is going to be swift and severe, and we're going to see price go down and revisit, at least according to my bearish alt count, the 200 SMA here on the S&P 500. I want to point out the similarities to early to mid-October and this month as well. And I had talked about this before, and it ended up playing out. I really should have trusted my instincts, and it would have put me in the best position to be ready to deploy capital. Was that significant low in early October was then met with some selling that put it right back down towards the bottom of this channel in the middle of October, and it pushed right up against here some declining resistance on the RSI 9. That is exactly what happened, at least so far here in December. A significant low, moved right back up into a previous supply level, and then here some selling here early this week that is again forced that RSI right up against that previous resistance. So this is significant that bulls need to follow through, and I believe it needs to happen this week. In that October follow through from the 14th all the way through the following week, price was enthusiastically bullish. And that's, I think, what needs to happen if we're going to be able to confirm that we're going to move strongly up and get that Santa rally that everyone's been talking about. So the technical setup is definitely in place after the bulls came through and did their job today. Let's take a look at the corresponding chart on QQQs. A stronger move comparatively, a big green bullish candle that just sliced right back upwards through all of its EMAs. And but you'll notice that really since the early part of this month, every attempt on a daily bar to close and follow through has just been met with selling. And again, just like SPX, that's what's going to distinguish here the blue count from the black. So we just need to see follow through. This is typically, the requirement is you need to see some bigger volume, which we got. Look at that volume bar. That green volume bar right down here, that's bigger than nearly every day all the way back to when the market was putting in a significant low in March of this year. So the ingredients are there for a big bullish push, and kind of what I would be looking at here is a run up from the lower BB to the upper BB. And that's why I like to keep these on the chart. We had another lower BB tag here on Tuesday and almost double bottomed with it again today. And as price moves up, that BB is going to open up. And I think eventually we'll see, ideally, we'll see price move to that upper BB, possibly right around this wave 3 target. Okay, so I also want to talk a little bit about NYMO and the VIX, because you guys know that's an important recipe for the technicals that I look for confluence. And a couple things I want to point out. So on the McClellan oscillator, you'll notice that it's still pretty decisively in negative territory, and that's partially because of the strength of the selling that occurred here in the later part of last week, the early part of this week, but also because we have not yet got small caps, growth stocks to really confirm participation. So in order for that to happen, we really need to see this NYMO move above this level, which is the December 8th level. So if I go back to the SPX, so here is where we got that big move up Monday and Tuesday, and this closing level right here that we closed above it today, we closed higher on the S&P 500 today than we did last week, but the NYMO is still lagging. And that is a little bit of caution that the momentum and also the breadth participation still needs some confirmation that we're actually going to get a sustained move and a breakout into early 2022. So I'm watching that closely. Also, just briefly here on the VIX. So it is an outside bearish candle on the VIX, and these almost always follow through in the direction that they then close. So I'm expecting the VIX to then drop more in to finish this week. But of course, it's quad witching week. So some of these ideas might need to be taken with a grain of salt because we never know what's going to happen with really billions of dollars of option premium that's going to be expiring. So I do want to point out that the VIX actually did close lower than that reading on December 8th, which is kind of some nice confirmation that perhaps we're starting to see fear move back to a level where the volatility would compress. And that really is kind of what happens in bull trends. The most grinding, sustained, consistent bull trends actually happen when the VIX is actually not moving very much. And that's what bulls actually want to see here. Okay, also want to show you the New York Stock Exchange advance and decline issues. And this is interesting for me to talk about because there are some technicians out there that say, well, you can't use the S&P 500 price against this NYSE as you're comparing apples and oranges. I would say the NYSE is actually a better example of the broadest market participation, and the S&P 500 stocks are in that exchange. So you're going to notice again, just like the NYMO, there is still some serious divergence here. And I'm going to kind of talk about what I think is possibly going to happen as I show you IWM, because it's really small caps that have to get back on board here with the bullish thesis if we're going to see a sustained period of risk on for the stock market. And of course, everyone, it seems, is talking about small caps. Are they in the middle of putting in a bullish hammer this week? We got the start of it. If this can turn green, then I really think there's a chance that we can break out of this consolidation and we can get it up again to a new all-time high in early 2022. That looks a little bit like a pipe dream right now because we are near the bottom end of it. All of these moving averages are above it and pointed downward. So I think the most important bullish thing that we need to see is continuation in buying in small caps. Okay, now what I think is possible is if there is one more possibly marginal all-time high to be set, then I think it could be likely that the NYAD here actually won't confirm a new high. And I'm going to be looking for that as a topping indicator for our next significant pullback. So that's far speculating into the future, very much yet to be seen if that happens. Just wanted to put that out there in recording here so those of you that follow this could have an awareness of what to look forward to if we do see resolution from small caps, but we don't actually get kind of that broadest participation that we want here in the NYSE. Okay, so let me get back to that IWM chart because I think it is still interesting to show what the alternate is. So I'm still calling this the alternate bearish count, really mainly because of the strength that we saw in the S&P 500 and the Qs today. But if we get that rejection count, then I really think small caps are going to get decimated. I'm going to leave it here as the alternate. In order for us to try to put that to rest, we've got to start working through just some massive supply here in the middle of this chart. So the 222 area has to be conquered. Then obviously we've got to get back through what could be a B wave top at 226. So there is still a lot of work to do on small caps, but they had a $6 range reversal today. So it is certainly not out of the realm of possibility that with strong follow through to end the week, they could get back and reclaim here this volume shelf and the point of control in price. Now, also had mentioned growth stocks. Let me actually show you the weekly here. Very similar hammer look in ARKK. So if that candle can go green, it needs about 0.8% of more upside. Like IWM, I think we've got a nice set of bullish confluence that maybe we put in an extremely significant cycle low, and growth stocks could really be ready to resume a run. Now, this again is difficult to say that it could happen with certainty. We've got to keep this red bearish count on the table. We know that many of these growth stocks are highly sensitive to interest rates, and if interest rates do rise rapidly in anticipation of the rate hikes coming in 2022, then it's possible the bullish thesis remains off and these stocks continue to sell off. But if that rate of increase isn't great or even slows to reverse, then it's very possible that we could see growth stocks run up before we actually get those rate hikes in the market, which has actually historically been when the market has put in its significant corrections. It typically is waited for the most significant pullbacks until the rates are actually hiked. Okay, now into some of the details for ARKK. It kind of got a stick save double bottom low, just like I showed you on SPX. It is now trying to work through resistance on its RSI. So it poked above this downtrending resistance, but then was heavily sold over the last week. And if it can get back through above that resistance, above the December 8th level, which I already showed you was significant on the NYMO, I think then there becomes a good chance that we're going to see a very surprising rally in growth stocks. So I want to certainly keep that on the table while also maintaining just the balance here that in the trend that's down, if it just continues down, we actually can't be that surprised. Okay, so just wanted to give you that short discussion there about the S&P, the Qs, IWM, and ARKK. I think it's possible that we saw the bulls take control back of the market on kind of a lack of surprising news from the Fed. Let's see how we finish. As I showed you, I think crucial that we follow through here for the bulls. I was able to scoop up some things on the first initial dip after the reported news and was able to catch some really nice runs in NVIDIA and in Netflix and in Google. Waited a little bit longer on Tesla because Tesla hadn't quite broken out of a down channel the way that I was wanted, but it did follow through. I took about half off at the close. I'm going to keep half on with the idea that if the bullish thesis is right, we're going to see the continuation and we're going to see something like IWM move up through some of these resistance fibs back into more important supply. Certainly for the Qs and the S&P, they are looking to conquer those supply areas, which let me get you back to that just real quick here. So we're looking, why am I having trouble finding it? Right in here. We got to move decisively through the 400 to 402 area on the Qs, and that's what's going to put new all-time highs and then potentially even a bigger run in play. So just one more thought before we go is just keep in mind that when markets establish themselves with the right kind of trending technicals, that's really when you can make a lot of money. We get this MACD to cross back bullish. It happened in SPX, not yet on the Qs. We get some broken RSI resistance upward, along with the reestablishment of price above these MAs. And that's really where you can make a lot of money. And then the challenge, just like it's been, I mean, look at this chop. Since this reversal candle on November 22nd, the challenge then becomes, can you keep it? So that's always the challenge. I've never found it hard to make the money in the markets. I've always found it hard to keep the money. So let's see if we're entering in to a bullish period where there's lots of money to be made. And then let's make sure move it into 2022 with the possibility of some bigger degree pullbacks that we keep it. So wish you a wonderful Wednesday night. Wish you the best of luck going into the rest of this week's trading. Thanks for the subscriptions on YouTube, for the follows on Twitter, for all the comments and interactions. We're having fun, and let's see if we can keep it up.